Hello, so this is a video that I've put off for an incredibly long time. It's something I've always considered about doing and then never really gotten around to doing it. So this is a little story of my life up until this point. So I was born into a cute little family, and when I say little, I mean in all ways. My family are quite short, and there's not many of us. There was my mum and my brother and my dad. And me, I was there as well. These drawings are pretty questionable, but just go with it. They get better as we go along, I think. Also, just ignore the text that I put on later because it's really small and I'm an idiot. That's me. That's me just chilling on my dad's shoulders, having a good old time. We were a incredibly happy family. That sounds really ominous, doesn't it? We were incredibly happy, and then it all changed. I promise you, this isn't like the start of a horror film or anything. So we're born into a little house, which, you know, it wasn't much, but to us, it was an absolute haven. We had everything we possibly needed. My family didn't have a lot of money, and my dad was working multiple jobs. My mum was doing everything under the sun to try and provide for us. And my brother and I had a very, very happy upbringing, and we always made the most of what we had. Everything was great. And honestly, I love it. It's so nice. It was banging. It was banging. It was a great childhood. It was really, really enjoyable. And that was just before the 2000s, just before the noughties. I was born in 1995, and yeah, it was a best year. Moving on. Here's where you see me draw a very terrible garden, because our house it was a very small house, but it had a massive, massive garden. And my brother and I always used to go to Poundland and buy those £1 alarm clocks and pretend that they were spy devices and use them in the garden and make up our own games. This is before we had the internet, okay? This is what kids did, alright? You don't see kids doing that nowadays. Anyway, so as you can see here, right about a tiny house, it's beautiful. This is just before things got very, very interesting. My dad always loved having the newest gadgets, and although we didn't have much money, he would always find a way to just, you know, spend those last few pennies on something cool. Now, we eventually got a personal computer. Yes, we did. Woo! It was one of those massive grey machines that look like they belong on a spaceship, and it was intended solely for work and emails. Therefore, it was kept in the living room, and my brother and I each got an email, but that was pretty much it. But I also did play some of those free computer games that came with Windows as well. It was absolutely banging. After this, my brother and I kind of got hold of the computer. We moved it up to the landing so that we could play on it more easily without being watched. And we used to sit there and take it in turns to play different games on the best website of all time, which was Miniclip. Miniclip had everything from Motherload to Stick RPG and all kinds of absolutely amazing games. We still had email, and you know, the computer got taken over a few times for work-related things, but we used to sit there for hours on end just playing all of these games until we found the one game that changed everything. That's a Stickman, by the way. That's Stickman for Stick RPG. Love that game. It's amazing. We found the game that changed everything, and that was RuneScape. It was unlike anything we had ever played before. We played things like Adventure Quest and things like that, but they just weren't hitting the spot. But we found RuneScape, and immediately on Tutorial Island, we were hooked. We knew there was something special about this game, and we were amazed. He immediately called up his friends and told them about the game, and well, I didn't really have any friends, so I spoke to his friends too. It was great. I should also probably mention that I found Habbo Hotel around this time as well. I was a very cool kid. I was a very, very cool kid. Okay, so this is where I'm going to slow things down a little bit, because this is probably the biggest part of my life. And this is something I have never ever spoken about on any platform ever to anyone, really. A lot of my real life friends have no idea about the events that followed, and so this is a bit daunting. And I haven't scripted this, haven't worded anything, so go with it. So while my brother and I were really young, we were 10, 11, my mum and my dad, well, our mum and dad got us in the kitchen and broke the news to us that my mum was diagnosed with cancer, and we were obviously devastated, and my mum started treatment immediately afterwards, and it was gutting, but at the same time we knew our mum, and she was an absolute trooper. She is an absolute trooper, and so this is her sword, because, you know, she's a badass. She just picked up that sword and continued on. So my brother and I were pretty merrily, you know, continuing on with the life. We were obviously gutted by the news, but at the same time, we knew she'd be okay. We knew everything was going to be okay, because our family was incredibly strong and she could defeat anything. So it was all okay. We went back to games. We went back to playing RuneScape. It was all going to be fine. Don't worry about that. So after we had this bad news, and while my mum was on treatment, something else happened, and I'm not going to go into all of the details, but heartbroken just turned into, you know, a little bit more devastation, a lot more devastation. So while my mum was getting on with things, unfortunately my dad fell ill out of nowhere, and he one day had a stroke, which led to another stroke, and then he was rushed to hospital. And I can really vividly remember these events happening. And so he was rushed to hospital, and then the next day, I think it was the next day, we got a phone call from my mum, who was at the hospital. My granddad was looking after us, and she told my granddad that he should probably bring us in immediately, and we knew it was the worst. We knew that, you know, that was kind of it. So we went to the hospital, and after a week of him being on life support, he unfortunately passed away on my 12th birthday, which is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of my birthday, for anyone who knows that much but doesn't know why. So that was quite the series of events in our little family's life. We weren't a big family, but we had just suddenly become a lot smaller. And remember, this is also while my mum had cancer as well. So it wasn't going well. I had one grandparent left. I had my brother, I had my mum, who was really sick, and bless my mum, she continued to be an absolute trooper. She continued to, you know, look after us, plan a funeral, and I am so astonished by my mum's bravery and her ability to continue on with things. It never fails to amaze me, and it inspires me every single day. Every time I'm having a hard day, I think, look, if she could get through that, then, you know, I can do these things. It's absolutely fine. Right, let's cheer this up a bit. Let's speed this on a little bit. So after that, obviously 4 had to become 3. When 4 become 3. That's not the song. So that's my mum. She doesn't have any hair at this stage, but she was still absolutely wonderful, superb. And I took it in my stride as much as I could. And I was like, right, you know what? My dad's gone, my mum's sick, I am going to protect the family. So here's me picking up a whopping sword. We decided to, you know, there were 2 things you could do here: give in and just do nothing, or thrive. And so we came together, we ventured on as a team, and we lived our lives. We were picking up the pieces, looking after my mum who was sick, and we continued on. I started running a business at the age of 12, and I decided I was gonna save the world. That didn't really happen, but, you know, our spirit was there. So while my mum was battling on and getting slightly better, I went back into the world of video games. I needed some sort of escapism to keep me sane, and at this point I actually had a laptop as well. I was very lucky to have a laptop, and I would spend days and nights awake in my room on my laptop, and the time would be just flying by, and I would be playing RuneScape or Habbo the entire time. My real life friends, they didn't really know how to deal with my situation. They didn't know how to handle me, and therefore they kind of abandoned me. And since then, I have been terrible at maintaining real life friendships because I'm scared that people will leave me now all the time. So I just made a lot of online friends. This led to me starting Habbo DJing. If you don't know what Habbo DJing is, there were loads of fan sites around at this time for Habbo Hotel where you could become a DJ and do DJ slots. And this is where my love of presenting and public speaking started. From Habbo, I went into hospital radio, where you basically go in and you volunteer and lead a radio on there, which was so much fun, and I loved it, and it was great. And I did that as much as I possibly could. So this was at the same time as I was in school, and I was also running a business. My mum was getting better. Things were getting better. My brother was doing okay as well. He was doing all right in school. So we were all doing gravy. Everything was starting to look up, which is good. I then actually took a break from gaming because I had to focus on work. I had a job. I had to focus on college. I was doing programming, I was doing drama. I wanted to find a way to combine the two and do gaming, but I couldn't, and I just didn't have time for RuneScape or any other game, and I missed it so much. I really, really missed RuneScape, and I would always reminisce with my college friends about RuneScape and, you know, just how much I wanted to continue playing it, but there just wasn't the time. Until I ventured off to university. Now, university, my plan wasn't really to do gaming full time. I actually went there to do an art degree. I was a little bit, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and drama was really enjoyable, but the second I got there, I wasn't happy. I didn't like the course, and I took the jump into games design, even though I'd never designed a game before in my life. And I worked my absolute butt off to prove myself to not only, me, but also the people around me, to prove that I could work just as hard as them. And I ended up getting incredibly high grades very early on. And then I found Twitch, and the first person I watched on Twitch was actually Tim the Tatman, and after that it was Boaty. And I remember thinking, oh my god, there are people playing RuneScape on here. I love that game, and I decided to start my own channel. Fast forward a few years, and it's got to the stage where I need to graduate, and I graduated with a first class honours in game design, which I'm so proud of. I'm so proud of, because I was also working jobs at the same time and running societies and all kinds of things. But I then had to make the decision on whether or not I get a real stable job or I try and stream for a living, and I decided to go with the latter. I decided to try and stream, try and make it a full-time career, and here we are in 2018. I've been streaming full-time for over a year now, and things are going well. It's obviously not without its struggles, but ultimately I am incredibly happy right now, and I'm incredibly hopeful as well. And I know that my story has had a lot of ups and downs, but I'm so grateful for the life that I have. I'm so grateful for the family that I have. I'm so grateful for my mum being the most inspirational human I've ever encountered. She has time for everyone, and she judges no one, and that is amazing. I'm so proud of the community we've built, and here's to another year. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.